Okay, so today we're going to show you a little bit of the process it takes to build the other side of this bonnet. We've got the other side done. We're getting ready to form this side. So we're going to take some measurements. We're going to transfer them over to the sheet of aluminum and then start shearing. Now we're going to oversize it because it's a lot easier to trim back than it is to add aluminum. So we're going to start out with a little bit oversized. We'll take some rough measurements to get started. The aluminum we're going to use is a 3003 H14 aluminum. It's an 063 thickness. So that's what we've selected to do this. Now sometimes when you use the English wheel and you form aluminum, you do what's called anneal the aluminum. And that's a process of using heat to soften the aluminum to make it more workable. The problem with annealing aluminum is, yes, it makes it easier to work with, but it also makes it easier to bend. And because this bonnet's going to be up here at the front of the truck, getting the abuse of the elements, I've decided that it's a simple enough curve that we can do it without annealing aluminum. So we're just going to English wheel it out right the way it stands. This is a cool little tool that I purchased. I have one that's a 3 foot. I also have one that's a 6 foot long. It gives you the curve, so it just gives us a quick reference of this curve. Okay, so we've laid out our rough measurement here. Like I said, it's going to be an oversized panel, and we'll trim it to fit after we get done rolling. Cut out here, and we're ready to start shaping. A little bit about the shape on this. There's a lot of transitions and things going on here. First of all, up here, we have this curve here, and it comes out to a flat. Then this is also a 90-degree here, and then the roll starts softening as it goes around. So the reason we have the 90-degree here is when we put it on the truck, the flat panels on the sides will come underneath this lip here and underneath that and seal all this up. So we're going from a nice soft curve to a tight point back. It's a round curve there, coming out to a flat. So we'll need to do some stretching over here as we roll it. And then over here, we have the same kind of transition coming in with this round here that it drops down. So we're going to bring the panel over with a slight dome and then more of a curve at the end here, tying all this in to give it a nice transition and a round there. So when we put it on the wheel, we're going to do a lot of stretching and work right here on this part first, because that's got the most crown in it. That's going to take the most work. So we're going to start with doing that. So we'll take this flat panel, we're going to pull it into the English wheel here, and we're going to start putting some shape in there. So the English wheel has a lot of different rollers here, and these all have different crowns on them, meaning the top of the roller here, this crown. So this one's pretty flatter. This one's the most flat. They do have a flat one, but the top roll is flat. So you want to get a crown here that represents what you're trying to roll into the aluminum so that it gets a nice pinch all the way across. Okay, we'll start wheeling this thing out, stretching the metal, creating that curve. And so it's a fairly light pressure. And sometimes you feel like you're not even doing anything. But you'd be surprised how quickly the metal starts to take shape. So you want to use little overlapping motions And the way this is stretching the metal is basically it's a rolling hammer. So if you use the hammer on something and thin it out, it's going to stretch, create a stretch. So that's what this is doing. Okay, so that was just a few times through the English wheel. And so we're not nearly close enough, which we know that, but I just wanted to show you how quickly the panel starts to take shape. You can see this drop and this curve that we've already created by just rolling it through there a dozen times. So that's how fast it works. Okay, so we've got the crown here pretty close. We'll put some screws in here. We'll screw this down and pull this all down, and we'll see where we're at, what we need to do. We can massage it a little bit more. I'll put a cut here because this will be the 90, it'll bend down. And this will be trimmed back and all welded in to create that roll. And this will be the starting for our metal to go underneath. So that's where we're at now. After having the panel on there, we realized that we got to do a lot more stretch in this area here because of the way it bends down this way and this way. Our juice was shrinking along this edge here. So we'll roll it over, and to speed up the process of just wheeling it out to stretch it, we're going to stretch it on this lead shot bag with a mallet. I've got this side marked where I want to do the stretching in here with the marker. I'm just going to take the mallet. So we did quite a bit of stretching in there with the mallet. Roll it over. You can see how much more dome we have here on this. And now we'll put it in the wheel and we'll roll out all the bumps here from the hammer marks. And that just saves a little bit of time of just wheeling. We could have done it on the wheel, but this speeds up the process a little bit. Bubble. So here's the next thing. When you pull this down, the metal, we've got a lot of extra metal right here. So what we got to do is we got to shrink this outside edge and pull that in. When we pull this down, we don't have these pleats in here. So we'll do a little shrinking along this edge here. And then also while we have it off, we're going to go ahead and trim this up and bend this lip down to the 90 where it goes, the hole there. Like we talked about, because the sheet's going to go up underneath there, it's going to seal. So we'll go ahead and bend this, and then because this makes this bend here on the top, once we bend it, we'll do some shrinking right here and turn that. And also I'll show you what we're going to do, how we're going to accomplish that. I think it's all coming together pretty nice there. So this is, we're shrinking this edge here. These jaws come down, they pull the metal together, put a little shrink on this edge. That's what we're doing here. That to turn down. Pulled all this in, shrunk that edge, pull it in, and tied it down. So we got this thing back on here. We got some screws in there, clamps, everything into position. I think it fits pretty well. We'll, the rest of this we can fit as we're welding by dollying on it and tuning that in, and we'll be ready to go.